Podcast Network Asia.
Getting the kind of sleep you want the most is the best reward you can give yourself after a long day at work. Not only does it give you a fresh start to your day, but it also boosts your confidence to make greatness happen. This is why you need Sleepasil, a non-addictive and over-the-counter sleep supplement made with natural ingredients such as melatonin, valerian root, and chamomile. Sleepasil is FDA approved and is available nationwide in Mercury Drugstore, Watson's, Rose Pharmacy, Southstar Drugstore, and Generica. You can also order it online through Zalora, Shopee, Lazada, and Watson's online. You can also visit their website on www.sleepasil.com and follow @Sleepasil on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You can never go wrong with your finest sleep. Sleep safe and sound with Sleepasil. As a Gen Z, millennial, or if you're feeling millennial, browsing through social media has really provided a quick escape from everything, from your ACADS, work, and basically life in general. It really helps break free from stress and the negative vibes. With Globe Prepaid, you can now connect, share, and react more with its Go Plus offers. With just 99 pesos, you can continue browsing and surfing through the internet wherever you go. Go Plus 99 Go Share offers you 16 GB of data that you can use to browse Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or even Kumu and House Party for 7 days. To register, just dial *143 hashtag on your mobile phone or download Globe One app or GCash to enjoy the promo. Browsing through social media is now much better with Globe Prepaid's Go Plus 99. Register now.
Hello?
Podcast Network Asia.
Hey guys, welcome back to Small Talk, small conversations with huge impact. My name is Alec Cuenca and I'm your host. And before anything else, welcome to the show. If this is your first time, then I hope that you enjoyed this episode. I'm sure that you're going to love this episode. And if you do, go ahead and check out the other amazing episodes that we have, because I know that you can learn a lot from it as well. And if you're an avid listener of the podcast, welcome back. I am so proud that you're still here, still invested in self-improvement. And I am so excited for this episode because today, I know I always say this, but today we really have a very, very, very special guest. And so, you might have seen it from the title already. So let's proceed with me introducing the guest. Our guest for today is one of the most famous television personalities in the Philippines. He is a host, a writer, a publicist, and a talent manager. He has won numerous awards such as the Best Talk Show Host, the Best Celebrity Talk Show Host, the Best Public Affairs Program Host, the Best Showbiz-Oriented Show Host by the PMPC Star Awards for TV, and many, many more. He also hosts the podcast, Who Are You When No One's Watching? I am honored to welcome on the show the king of talk show himself, Tito Boy Abunda. Tito Boy, welcome to the show.
Maraming salamat, Alec. I'm happy to be here. I'm proud as well to be with you, and let's do it.
All right. So before we dive into our topic for today, I just want to ask, how have you been adjusting to the pandemic, especially in terms of your work? Kamusta
Better
po?
now.
Better.
Yeah, better now. Used to be so afraid. Used to be so paranoid, so insecure. Because in the beginning of the pandemic, we didn't know what was going to happen. We were all guessing. We were all speculating. I was hopeful. And then suddenly that hope would slide into more uncertainty. It was a roller coaster ride to nowhere. But looking back now, I rode the highs and the lows of the pandemic. But today, I think I'm a little better. Not there yet, but still groping, but have gotten used to it and more hopeful.
I think that's very important that we stay hopeful because, just a glimpse of hope can help us move forward. And as long as we're getting better, slowly we're getting better, that's what's important. So that's really good to hear. And I've also learned that you've been doing live streaming lately. Yeah, how is it, Tito Boy?
It was daunting in the beginning because I am I'm a television host and I got used to the ways of television. Ibang iba, Alec, and I was not very open in the beginning
Mhm.
because doing television is an entirely different discipline. So when I was doing live streaming, in the beginning again, I figured this was not something that I would be doing as if I had that choice. Nobody knew what was going to happen with the pandemic. Hindi natin alam kung gaano katagal. But a few months into the pandemic, I realized that I had to learn certain things that I was averse to, like doing vlogs, streaming, because that was the only way to survive. I mean, with humility and with a certain sense of clarity. How am I doing today? I'm not in there yet, but again, I am better. And I think that's what's important. And I've become more open to the various platforms, but I still do miss television.
I mean, you've been doing television for 3 decades, and with the pandemic, even though it's like 2 years na, marami pa rin talaga tayong nami-miss dun sa face-to-face and television style na setup when it comes to entertainment and your job. And I mean, you mentioned a little bit about humility and being open. But by far, Tito Boy, ano yung pinaka malaking lesson na natutunan mo during the pandemic?
That we are all going to die. So we might as well be better. There are choices that you take, not my original words, but again, the early part of the pandemic, I was listening to the speech of Bill Gates, who was talking about how we contended with, or how we continue to contend with our finitude. He used the word finitude. In simple words, what he was trying to say was, we are all going to die and we have choices. You can choose to go to the left, you can choose to go to the right. You can get lost in your sense of what is wrong and what is right. So you have to have clear choices. And the biggest lesson I learned is life is not very long and life is very uncertain. And that there is that certainty that we are not going to live forever. So I might as well do better, try to become the best of who I am, and be kinder. So it took a lot of humility because I am in a business, we are in a business, Alec, that does not really, no, I might say the wrong words. I mean, this is a business where you can't stay in a corner and expect to make it. This is a business where you can get lost in the maelstrom of voices and noise. Everything is big.
Yeah.
It's very difficult to be humble in a way. But I think the pandemic taught me that between humility and the business, you can actually navigate, that space between being grounded and trying to survive in the fame business. That's an oxymoron. That's a bit contradictory in a sense, but it can be done. Kasi Alec, alam mo nung nag-uumpisa ako, during the beginning of the pandemic, there was a certain kind of, I will admit this again with honesty, there was a certain kind of condescension na parang, huy, trained naman ako. I studied hard, I worked very hard to do what I do. I mean, I teach public speaking, I take my job very, very seriously. To this very moment, Alec, as we talk, I still watch the interviews of old, the Dick Cavett's of this world doing Katharine Hepburn. I've seen Barbara Walters doing Richard Nixon. I remain a student to this very moment. So when you have that feeling, when you have that affectation, I will call that an affectation, kasi may konting yabang eh. When you have that affectation na parang namuhunan ako, I put in a lot of hard work, a lot of tenacity into what I do, and it was not easy. You sit down in front of a laptop and you talk. And I said, so what's the fuzz? And this doesn't take a lot of training to be able to do this. Only for me to realize that it is more daunting to do online interviews, that it is more challenging to do personal interviews because you don't have the in-person nuances of a conversation. And slowly I realized that I had no right to condescend on these various platforms because they have their own peculiarities and challenges and powers. Iba-iba eh. Kanya-kanya. So, yun yung sinasabi ko that I humbled myself. Lumuhod ako and started to learn the tricks. There was a time, alam mo, Alec, when I was starting to do online gigs, I was hosting webinars. I did a Singapore fashion discussion with designers coming from New York, Dubai, the Philippines, Japan. And it was one of the most challenging jobs I did because I didn't know what I was doing. Hindi ko alam kung masyadong mataas ang boses ko, hindi ko alam kung sumisigaw na ako, hindi ko alam kung naiintindihan ako ng kausap ko, kung naririnig ako. So the platform that I condescended was a platform I couldn't manage. It is, the various platforms I could not traverse. So yung yabang ko, nawala. Totally, Alec. I now face you with humility of a freshman student in college trying to learn and trying to navigate these various platforms. And I'm okay. I'm used to working hard. Sabi ko nga, kung kinakailangan mag-umpisa ako uli, I will do it. But the humbling process is very important. I have, I'm a doctor in philosophy. I'm a doctor in social development. Meron kaming kasabihan, Alec, na you have to go through this equilibrium. You have to go through dilemma. You have to go through a certain kind of imbalance to find your balance. And that's what happened to me.
Wow. You have to find the balance in the imbalance. I love that. And you need to be in a dilemma because, yeah, I could totally agree with that. Na the only thing certain in this world is change, and if we're not used to the changes, talagang may iwan tayo. But you said a little bit about, and you mentioned the story about when you became humble. And for me, that really takes a lot of courage to be humble. And it's really brave for someone to humble themselves and accept now, okay, I these are the things within my control. And so now I'm going to focus on this. And so, but I want to know more about what was that moment or what was the trigger na parang sinabi mo na, okay, I'm gonna humble myself. What was that humbling moment?
Oh, it was a series of moments, Alec. Kasi in the beginning, I also tried to be hopeful about the pandemic. Alam mo, Alec, ngayon that we're talking, yung hope, maganda talaga kasi kinakapitan natin yan. We cling onto hope. And that gives us a powerful perspective about life, about where we want to go. But sometimes it can also blur reality. You have to be very careful with being hopeful. You have to be able to manage that. You have to examine that kind of hope. Where are you coming from? Because it can also border on the false, on the illusion. Sabi ko nga, Ale, nung umpisa sabi ko, ay, di naman siguro magtatagal yung pandemic. This is not gonna happen. This is 2021. This is not 1918, 1919 when the influenza pandemic happened. Iba ng tao, magaling na ngayon. I mean, we have invented everybody. I mean, robots are doing jobs for people. We can go to space. I mean, billionaires are now able to travel. So you can't be blinded by what you think has become of man. Only for us to realize that we couldn't handle the virus. And that I was hoping that by the end of 2020, it was going to be over. Only for us to begin 2021, the surge happened and we were all flattened again. Everybody was collapsing around us and that hope again was gone. So because I was so uncertain, because I was so afraid, I will admit, not just for myself, but for my family, my friends, and the world, I was pushed to a certain point in my life when, what if this goes on longer? What if this stays forever? Because right now, my take is we're going to live with this virus. And pagalingan na lang. I mean, maabilidad kang virus ka, pagalingan na lang tayo. I mean, kung sino ang sino, we'll have to survive each other. The way probably how mankind dealt with the influenza pandemic. So, yung humbling was really a process. I cannot go back to television. ABS-CBN shut down. And I cannot do a live show. I cannot have live guests. So in that state, what do you do?
Mhm.
And you have a choice again there. Do you choose to believe that what happens in the world is according to what you want or
Ooh.
according to what is really happening? I mean, you have to be real. You have to be honest. So, totoo yun. Yung parang, alam mo, ang pinanggagalingan ko, Alec, parang decades. I mean, over 30 years, I've been doing this. I mean, I've been doing the talk material. And what am I going to do? Am I just going to vlog? Am I just going to, which I did. And I had so
Mhm.
much fun. I didn't also realize that there was so much fun. And it was also entering a new world where there was so much to learn from. And there was so much that I didn't know simply because I refused, because I thought I had enough. But I've always been ambitious. I've always been insecure in a good way. I've always been rebellious. So the humility was a byproduct of all this. Parang, boy, you want to survive? Boy, do you want to be relevant? Boy, do you want to be laos? Boy, do you want to walk into the sunset? I had so many questions and I had clear answers. And when I came up with my answers, sabi ko, ay, ayoko pa malaos, ayoko pang mag-retire, because I don't want to retire. I'm not afraid to be a has-been. I mean, that's the one immutable law in the business. We are all going to be a has-been. I mean, nothing is permanent in this business. I am a manager. I'm cognizant. I'm very, very realistic about, lifespan, shelf lives of public figures. So after asking the questions, you go, ayoko naman, I don't want to be stopped by this virus. I will have to survive. I'll have to continue doing what I do. I may not be doing that in my studio on my little stage, but there are other things that I can do. So that humility is realistic. I will admit that humility was not forced on me, but I think it was a logical, it was a reasonable reaction to what was happening. Kasi wala ka namang choice eh. Wala
Mhm.
kang choice. And by having no choice, no naman, I think that's wrong. You had other choices. I
Mhm.
chose to be in the game. I want to be in the game. I'm still in the game. So I might as well do what I can do. And whatever it is, wherever it is, I promise to learn. I promise to do the best I can within this space that I am not familiar with, similar to how uncertain I was when I was doing television for the first time.
Ooh. Yeah, I mean, you mentioned it in the last part, the similar to when I was starting in television
Oh,
last
yeah.
time. I think a certain part of ourselves accept pag nasasanay na tayo, pag gumagaling na tayo sa isang bagay, we tend to feel ourselves na, kaya ko na I'm this. And we become comfortable with that and hindi na natin namamalayan na no, things are actually changing. I think there's a book that I read recently. It's Who Moved My Cheese? And it just shows
Mm.
na okay, we need to adapt to changes. Na hindi natin napapansin na, no, actually, pakunti-kunti nga nagbabago na. Pero nakasanayan na kasi natin to, kaya pinanghahawakan natin siya. And I also love that you mentioned that it was a process. There was no moment. Meron lang talagang, and you have all these different questions that led you to being humble. And now, you are now focused not on how you want the world to exist, but how it actually exists. And that's just amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that. Now, I want to touch a little
I
bit.
just want to add something
Sige,
that's
go
very
ahead.
important. To everyone eavesdropping, the yabang that I was talking about is not the yabang na mayabang kasi bagong auto. Hindi, that's not the yabang I'm talking about. The yabang is attached to the concept of respect. Pag matagal mo nang ginagawa ang isang bagay at alam mong ginawa mo ang lahat, that you put out the best you can with pinuhunan mo ng luha, ng dugo, ng buong buhay mo, there is this, it's even unconsciously,
Mhm.
you somehow, I don't want to say you demand, but you deserve respect. You deserve some space. It is a kind of yabang where you claim your territory born out of hard work. Kaya yung, halimbawa, when you talk about television, it was hell, Alec. It was not easy. I mean, to learn the ropes of television. A platform where you had to be, or you have to be young, beautiful, flawless. You had to speak like the Manila boys. I mean, I was coming from a Waray area. So it was not easy. Change is wonderful. As a matter of fact, the overarching, or well, the underlining principle of social development or of development is change. Pero yung change kasi, tinitingnan mo ng mabuti, may change kasi na binabangga ang status quo. Hindi lang may. Status quo talagang binabangga. When you're part of that status quo, when you feel like, hey, this is my space. How dare you even try get into my space? And I've been here so long, and meron pa ngang, it's not even an illusion, but of course, yung self-estimation mo ay, magaling ako dito, huwag mo naman ako paalisin. So it's a protection of territories, of boundaries. But I like the concept of change because it took a long time for me to understand, Alec. Masakit sa umpisa. Masakit sa umpisa. Pero gusto ko lang, niyuyugyug ako. I like being provoked. I like being examined. Not by others, just by others, but by myself. I like to question. I like to provoke. Alam mo Mandela, one thing that I learned from Nelson Mandela, his middle name is, I'm not pronouncing this correctly, I have to forgive me, Rolilala. Rolilala. It is pronounced differently. It means literally breaking a branch from a tree. Na ang ibig sabihin ni Mandela ay ask the difficult questions, especially the questions that make this world a better place. It took a lot of time for me to understand na, oo nga, you've been doing the same thing. How can you move forward? How can you improve? How can you enhance what you're doing? How can you even change certain things? Kaya when I teach my public speaking classes, I always say, Alec, walang batas na nagsasabi kung paano mo uumpisa ng isang speech. Walang batas na nagsasabi kung anong gitna at anong dulo. You have to create. You have to invent. As a teacher, I don't say, I will teach you how to. I always say, I will help you discover your power to tell your story.
Wow. Amazing. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I think that quote from Mandela really hits the spot. You gotta learn how to ask the difficult questions, because in doing so, that's the only time that you will uncover the truth, right? The truth na karamihan ng tao ayaw talaga tanggapin. And that's how we, first became in denial with change. We didn't want to ask the question whether will this change going to last, or is it something temporary? We didn't want to ask that question, but we did. And so now we're here and learning from it. So thank you so much for sharing that.
Lalo na, Alec, when you come from a culture that wires you, that you're not supposed to talk about money, you're not supposed to talk about politics, You're not supposed to talk about sex, and that you're not supposed to be impolite, asking provocative questions. Ang hirap, di ba? Doon ka nabubuhay sa cultural make-up na you have, if you're fine, just be quiet. Don't disturb people, don't provoke. As opposed to what we're talking about now, ako hindi. I encourage people sometimes to annoy. I encourage people sometimes to provoke. Make people think. Make people think. Ang galing-galing mo, buhay Abunda. Ayan, wala ka ng show. Ang galing, ang gagawin mo ngayon? Nag-YouTube ako. Would have I entertained the idea of doing a YouTube channel in the past? No. Pero that's what I thought. That's what I meant when I said, hindi, kailangan bukas ka talaga. Kailangan talaga magpakatao at magpaka-humble ka dahil ito na ngayon. This is how we are communicating. This is how we are talking to each other. And there's nothing wrong about doing YouTube. As a matter of fact, I've discovered the wonders of podcasts. I have discovered the beauty of doing a YouTube channel. And nabago, it's a turnaround. And I'm okay. I was wrong. It was a mistake to say that I was not going to do anything but television.
I love that. Just by hearing that from someone with your accolades, with your accomplishment, no, guys, it's okay. I admit I was wrong, and now it's a whole turnaround, and I'm enjoying it. I'm learning the good sides of it, right? And so, well, I want to ask you something about, because well, I prepared some questions about fame and success, because now you're doing YouTube. You've been doing television for three
A long,
decades,
long time.
long time, Tito Boy. Long before I
You weren't
was
even
born, even.
you weren't even born yet. I was already doing television.
Yeah. So you've been talking to people, and kahit mga politicians, mga celebrities, and you have seen the rise and the falls of men who went into show business, in this business that we're doing right now, even in vlogging or in YouTube. So I want to start off with the question: do you think that fame is for everyone? One thing that continuously improves my life is being connected online. Imagine all the tips and stories that other people share on social media can be beneficial in our daily lives. And of course, vice versa. I can share moments and stories online too in order to help others as well. Good thing I don't need to worry about sharing my day anytime and anywhere, because I have Globe Prepaid's Go Plus 99 with GoShare promo. With a total of 16 GB of data, you can now have 8 GB for all the sites you need and 8 GB for your social media apps like Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Kumu, Snapchat, and House Party. Not just that, because you also get unlimited text to all networks valid for 7 days. All you need to do is grab your mobile phones right now, head on to the new Globe One app, GCash app, or by dialing *143 hashtag on your mobile phones to quickly register on Go Plus 99. Just keep on sharing through Globe Prepaid's Go Plus 99 with GoShare promo. Register now.
I love the question. The only reason why I would not say yes or no right now is because the concept of fame has changed with the internet.
Mm.
Okay. Uh, Years ago, I attempted to write a book about fame. I attempted to write a book about managing public figures. I remember the title. I haven't finished it, but I will still try to finish that book. I'm doing two books right now. That one, 13 things I know about how it is to manage public figures in the Philippines. It's about fame, it's about management, it's about the celebrity business. And I'm writing another book which is called Why Is It Okay Not to Be Okay and Why Is It Not Okay to Be Okay, Not Okay, which is a play which was inspired by that question I asked in Binibining Pilipinas. Is fame for everyone? Dati, ang definition namin ng fame, the practical definition, Alec, was if you're easily known by a general pa nga nun, if you're easily known by a multitude, by a community of people, you are famous. Hanggang nilagyan namin ng number. If you are easily recognizable by at least 100,000 people, you are famous. That has changed. With social media, that has been democratized. So the difficulty of answering if fame is for everybody, in the context of social media, you would say yes, for as long as you put yourself in social media and you get into and if you do it well, you can be famous. But, okay, will that fame last? Will that fame make you rich? Will that fame make you powerful? Because the old concept, the old talaga concept of fame was it was not available to anyone. You know, some people could be famous, some people tried to be famous, but weren't successful. So we are in the middle as we are navigating social media and the internet today. I don't know, but I am still leaning towards technically fame is not for everyone. It is not. But to be known by a community of people is for everyone.
Yeah.
You know, you have a Facebook account, you have likers, you have haters, you have bashers, but you play to a crowd and you're famous in that particular community, in that particular barangay, in that particular, societal whatever. But technically fame, meron ngang nagsabi, fame is the sum total of everything that is not true about you. So as a teacher, I mean, I'd like to still imagine that, fame is not for everyone. If I were to define fame as something that lasts, I mean, not forever, as something that makes you powerful, that makes you influential, something that makes you wealthy, that makes you bigger than life as we used to describe famous people. No,
Yeah.
no. You know why? Because social media is an entirely different animal, interesting, fabulous, fascinating animal. I am averse to doing IG, for example, because I don't want to play into a platform, not for me. Kanya-kanya tayo ng binabagayan eh.
Yeah, yeah.
Di ba? YouTube to me, I discover the wonders. Ang IG medyo alanganin ako because it's the land of the curated beautiful.
Ah,
Everything is
yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm not saying that people shouldn't go into it. Ang sinasabi ko lang, hindi ako masyadong, I don't gravitate towards it. Gusto ko pa yung mga Pinterest. I like, di ba? I mean, Twitter, alanganin ako ng konti because the discourse, the debate has become bloody and has become chaotic. So I stick still to what makes me comfortable and what makes me happy. I have had enough troubles in my life. And I think after doing talk material for the longest time, and after having been in the fame business for quite a while, I don't need, I think I have an audience on my channel. I'm happy where I am on my Facebook fan page. I should have started earlier because I'm enjoying Facebook, I'm enjoying YouTube, I'm enjoying podcasts. Sabi ko nga, dapat, yun yung mga pagkakamali ko noon. I should have started. And I'm very grateful because like my podcast, I'm doing very well. And thank you for having me on the show. Who are you? No one is watching. We started to drop our first episode. We dropped our first episode kahapon. And it's an exciting season. I do 8 actors, some of the best actresses in the country. And we talk about craft. Ganda, di ba? Parang, I wanted to talk about craft because an actor's life is interesting. The process is interesting. Technique is interesting. And it is one of the professions in the world that is misunderstood, diminished, denigrated. People say, "Uy, magaling ka umiyak. Siguro magaling kang artista." Hindi, it's a discipline. It's a respectable job. It's not easy. It's difficult.
Yeah.
And, I was watching the interview of Meryl Streep. I think if it was Meryl Streep, sabi niya, Alec, acting is pretending. And pretending is a life skill, not just used by actors, but by people. It's a life skill that we can use to survive. We all pretend. Naging interesado ako doon. So ito yung mga bagay na hindi ko magagawa kung hindi ko pinasok yung podcast. Thank you, Podcast Network Asia. Hindi ko napasok ang YouTube kung meron pang telebisyon. Now, I'm still able to do my interviews on my channel. Wala, it's an entirely different dynamic. It's an entirely different thing. So, sabi ko, I'm diving into the unknown. I'm diving in fear, but I'm alive.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, thank you for sharing that. The reason why I wanted to ask that, Tito Boy, kasi your podcast is amazing, featuring artists, actors, and actresses that we've been looking up to since, I grew up here in the Philippines, and talagang pinanood ko yung mga artistang yan habang lumalaki ako. And to see a side of them when where no one is watching, it's so mind-blowing to see na, okay, the show business is not really what we thought it was. There's a lot of, behind the scenes going on. And you've also, parang ang dami nyo rin napag-usapan na, there are also bad sides of it. Like the privacy thing, like yung energy, laging, alam mo yun, nag-iiba-iba. And so that's the reason why I also wanted to hear from you na, guys, you know what? Fame is cool, pero it's not all that. There's a lot of work that needs to be put in. There's a lot of sides na hindi natin nakikita. And I also want to follow up with a question, because you also mentioned in your podcast that fame can be toxic.
Oh,
so
yeah.
when or what instances does fame become toxic?
There are some famous people who could not handle fame, in the past. They could not handle fame because it can be more toxic than drugs. It can make you behave differently. You can take on a different prism, a different lens on how you look at the world. It can, in a bad way, change you. It can, when you become powerful and you're not ready to wield that power it can be debilitating. It can destroy you. So ang dami-dami, Alec, na mga famous people na who got into seclusion, who got into bad spaces, who destroyed, who self destructed themselves. Ang dami-daming ganon because it's, well, somebody once said it's an opium. It's addictive. It's addictive. So when it is addictive and when it wanes off, when it goes, when it disappears, it can be lonely. And in the business, you don't laugh, you holler. You're not sad. You get into a malady. You go extremes. So when you realize that there is so much for so little, I have a glass, diba? And then when fame overflows at hindi mo na alam kung paano gagamitin yung, the spillage, that becomes very dangerous. It becomes very toxic. Parati sinasabi ko, Alex, sa mga talents that I've handled in the past and in the present, alam nyo, as you become bigger actors, my prayer is you become better people. Not perfect, because perfection is boring. But as you become bigger actors, as you become bigger politicians and public servants, sana lamang you surrounded people you love. You surround your people who truly, truly care for you. Somebody once told me that when Julius Caesar was being paraded around Rome, there was one person in his back just saying, "You are human."
Yeah.
Hey, you're human. And we need that person in our lives. We who are in the fame business need people to tell us, and no matter how annoying it is, to tell us constantly that, hey, it's not gonna last. Hey, you're human. It's not gonna last. It's going to fizzle into thin, bad air. We have to be constantly reminded that we have to seize that particular moment of fame, use it beautifully, positively, to make this world a better place if we can, because it doesn't last. Alam mo, Alec, yung journey from stardom or superstardom to being a husband is crazy. It's one of the most painful, it's one of the most arduous, it's a death, it's a deadly journey. Harder than a journey from being an unknown to being famous. Kaya I openly talk about it. I put it in conversations. Hindi tayo panghabang buhay. I will be forgotten. We will all be forgotten. That's why it's good to go for legacy. It's good to go for nice, for good things. Because if I'm not going to be famous forever, at least I want to be remembered that I encourage people to make their nanays proud. If you don't remember any of my interviews, if you don't remember any of the shows I've done, that's fine. For as long as you remember that there was once this talk show host, I don't know what his name was, but he always ended his shows with, "Make your nanay proud, I'm good."
Wow. Okay. So, I mean, there's a lot of things to unpack. For one, I think humility again plays a huge role in minimizing the toxicity that fame has. And I think we need that someone. And Tito Boy, can we be that someone that could remind? Or do you have any more? For example, because there's a lot of people who think, they're Instagram famous right now, or they're social media famous, and it also gets into their head. So what do you think they could do so that the toxicity doesn't really overflow and they could manage the pains of the highs and the lows of being famous?
Alam mo, in my book, Alec, I have a chapter that I devote in the discussion about the reversal of roles. When a young talent comes to you or to me, for example, for artist management, crafting of the career path, etc., an unknown, and then you work together, your word is law. You say, these are the things that you do. Ito ang gagawin natin. This is a plan. You sing the song. We launch it. We produce a concert. You align with other names. And then let's look for a composer and a producer to do your single. And then we do a first album and all the works. You work so hard to get into a certain level of fame. And then, of course, there's the element of luck. There's the element of being at the right place at the right. I believe in luck. luck. To me, it's magic. Some people define luck as the residue of hard work, the residue of design. But I just believe in magic. I believe we are in a magical world. So yun, you become famous and then you make it big. You sing a song, you do a movie for millions. I remember Joan Rivers saying, "Why can't I criticize Nicki Minaj? You know, she just got $28 million for an MTV. I mean, don't I have the right to say," what you're saying is, may mga kaakibat. I mean, fame comes with certain things. You become public. And when you become public, there is no turning back. Once you're public, you're public. There's nothing private about being public. So, tumataas ka, and you become very famous. Some don't make it. Some don't make it because it was not meant, because it was at the right time. And that's okay. That's okay. Others become doctors. Others become nuns and priests. Others become businessmen. Kanya-kanya tayong hanap ng pathway. Anyway, at ng destination. Your question is, it is hell, and it is, well, the word again is daunting, almost impossible to talk sense into someone who's extremely famous, because the role is reversed. They don't listen to managers anymore. They become the rule. Ayoko, pagod ako. I don't want to go to that concert. No, I don't want to do that interview. I'm tired. No. No, that's not how it's done. Ganito yun. Di mo alam. Ako ang artista, ako ang sikat, etc. I mean, this experience is so peculiar. You don't know anything about this. The little advantage I have with my artists is I tell them, alam mo, hinay-hinay, I know what it is. I am there. I know what fame is all about. So, huwag tayo masyado mabigla. Pero yung halimbawa, the role of reminding people that this is not permanent, this is a message that is very difficult to deliver to someone who is extremely famous. Sometimes it takes some humps. Again, we go back to the dilemma. We go back to the imbalance. Sometimes it takes an imbalance. Sometimes it takes a disequilibrium to remind them that, hey, younger people are coming into the scene. Better people are coming into the platform. And we're not going to last. As Bill Gates would say, with the pandemic, it's not just about fame not lasting. It's also about human beings not being permanent. It may be hard to listen to hear, but yes, we are all going to die. So choose to be good. Pero ang hirap kausapin, alam mo, Alec, pag sobra kang famous, difficult. It's hard. I've been managing talents for more than 30 years now, and I've been there. Ang hirap niyan. Lahat ng alam. No, hindi. Ganun yun. Can we try doing this movie? No. I don't want to play that role. And you know what's so painful? This is the same girl or boy who used to be so wide-eyed and bright-eyed and was just listening to you intently because of your expertise. And suddenly, when they all become famous, they become the rulers of the game. Ang hirap niyan.
Yeah.
Minsan kinakailangan natatapilok para naalala nila.
Sooner or later, matatapilok eh.
Oo. Lahat yan, natatapilok. Lahat tayo, natatapilok. Natapilok ako. Nasaktan ako. Nasampal din ako. At na-realize ko that, it pays to be good. Pays to be good. Pays to be a good person. Not perfect, again. Pays to be a good person.
Yeah.
I said it right. Pays to be a good person.
Guys, kung hindi nyo pa narinig, it pays to be a good person.
Yeah,
we touched a little bit about the toxic side of fame, but it's syempre meron pa rin namang, as you've said, when you experience fame, make it to get power, make millions.
It's very good.
Get something out of it. It's really good, of course.
But, of course, and you're able to deliver. You're able to use your voice. I'm able to say, "Make your nanay proud," and people listen. When you say, "Tito boy, ikaw na,"
you're able to leave that legacy.
Yeah, you're able to use your voice to deliver the message that you want the world to hear. That's the best thing about fame, because people can relate to you. People listen to you. So you have both influence and power. Aside from the fact that you're able to build houses for your parents, you're able to buy cars, you're able to enjoy the good life, You're able to help other people. You're able to help institutions. So, in effect, you're able to help the world become a better place. So, fame is great. It's really great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's try to I'm personally interested because you've been handling a lot of talents for most of your years, and I want to ask, what is the most important characteristic of someone who wants to find his success or his fame?
Gutom, hunger.
Mm.
That's very important. I can smell hunger. I mean, there are many words synonymous to hunger. Some people would say passion, some people would say etc. Ako dalawa yan eh. Gutom and the intangibles. Of course, talent is given. Kasi Alec, importante naman yung talent. But talent,
Mhm.
when you look at a young person who wants to be a singer, who wants to be a famous actor, you look at talent in the context of possibilities. Hindi yung finished product. Kasi
Mm.
talent grows, talent evolves, and there are many tools to help hone a talent. There are schools, there are mentors, there are coaches, etc. But if you're talking about personality traits, if you're talking about characteristics that make a star, or help someone make it, ako talaga gutom. I like people who are hungry and who remain hungry. And this is again a contradiction to the humility that we were talking about. But since, strictly speaking, we're talking about how it is to make it, I like people with killer instinct. Kanina, I started to talk about this business not being too kind of place. You have to have a killer instinct. You have to know your moment. You have to know where your lights are coming from. You have to go to that space where the spotlight is. You have to have a killer instinct, meaning if you sing the best you can because someone will sing better. If you choose to be in a corner, nobody's going to see you. You have to identify the center stage. You have to identify where you should be so that you can be heard and you can sing and you can act. You have to surround yourself with a team that will help you achieve whatever you want. That's one. It's the hunger, it's the network, etc. Pero fortunately and unfortunately,
Mhm.
this is a business also that is governed by the intangibles. Dito, Alec, ang naglalaro yung mga naririnig natin, charisma, dating,
Mm.
the it factor. Ito yung, I don't know what it is, but I am so fascinated by. I don't even understand. I mean, he doesn't even sing very well, but there is some magic. Ito yung, ito yung mga hindi nabibili sa grocery. Ito yung sinasabi nila, you either have it or you don't. Ito na siguro, dito na naglalaro ang Diyos. Dito na naglalaro ang Panginoon. Kasi, do you have that in the beginning? Minsan hindi mo nakikita. Minsan hindi ganun kaklaro. But there are people who have presence. What is presence? I don't know. What is charisma? I don't know. What is the thing? I don't know. But I know it when I see it. So it's a combination. It's a combination of a hunger, of that killer instinct, and the intangibles. If you have them, you're a big star.
Love that. The hunger and the intangible. You heard it, guys. So kung hindi kayo gutom at yung sa
Pero di ba,
intangibles,
Alex, may
wala na
mga
tayong
tao,
magagawa dun eh.
Alex, di ba may mga tao na talagang ang sipag-sipag,
Aha.
maganda naman, gwapo
Mm.
naman, pero hindi, they don't make it.
Mhm.
Oo, parang ang ganda-ganda niya, pero ba't parang walang libog?
Yeah.
Diba? Some people
Actually,
say that.
yan ang follow-up question ko. So now, what do you think is like the reason why some people, even though they have the potential, don't really see their potential fulfilled?
They have potential, but they don't see their potential fulfilled. Yung potential is different from making it. The potential, you can be the best but you
Mhm.
cannot be a superstar.
Mm.
Para sa akin, yung superstardom, it's written in the stars. You were there at the
Mhm.
right time, and you just got it. What is it? I don't know. Pero halimbawa, if you're just talking about craft,
Yeah.
naman, you can realize your potential by going to, I believe in training. I believe in
Mhm.
training. I believe in, if you are, I believe in practice. I believe in no great performance happens without rehearsals. Can I say that again? No great performance happens without rehearsals. You have to practice.
Love that. a lot of people are taking it for granted. But if you're not working on your craft, you're not really gonna
Oh yeah.
see how your craft can evolve, right?
Hey, what's up? My name is Alton, and I'm pretty sure you're enjoying this podcast, and I'm pretty sure you're gonna enjoy mine as well. The name of my podcast is called Life on the Grow. If you want random book recommendations from a mediocre reader, that's me. More life advice, kinda, and a little bit of random conversations. Check out Life on the Grow on Spotify, and I'll be there waiting with a beer at hand, of course. Let's keep growing. Let's keep going. Now back to this awesome podcast.
Commit the mistakes. Don't be afraid to commit the mistakes.
I love that.
You know, as you practice, as you rehearse for that big performance, okay lang, matapilok ang dila mo. You know, when starting in the business, I would mispronounce words. I would say, welcome to small talk. Because I'm what I used to laugh at myself. I used to be so insecure about my accent kasi
Yeah.
Bisaya ako. Only for me to realize na bahagi ng kwento ko yun. Hindi ko, pag nagkamali ako ng bigkas, uulitin ko lang. Small talk. That's okay. Can I say that again, Alex? Small talk. Okay? So you have to be comfortable even with your perceived weaknesses because that's not a weakness. To me, that's my brand equity. Ang tono talaga ng salita ko, waray. Ang English ko, tonong waray, then so be it. For as long as my sense of understandability is there, I'm fine. You have to be secure about your insecurities.
I love that. You have to be secure about your insecurities. And Tito Boy, I want to ask this because I heard it from your podcast that you once because now we're talking about insecurities. You once worked in sales. Nagtry kang magbenta nung kabataan mo. How did that prepare you for what was to come?
I didn't know I was being prepared for profession in talk. I didn't know that I was going to be a talk show host. I didn't even own a television set. We had no television sets in Samar. I first saw my TV set in Manila when I came to Manila for college. So I had no idea. Pero looking back, you're able to connect the dots. Kaya pala. When I was doing cold calls and I was selling encyclopedias, fire extinguishers, when I was selling shampoos, bottles of shampoo. When I was, alam mo yung may Ford Fiera ka, tapos, ipapark nyo sa kanto, and then you go to houses, tao po, meron nung kaming, I didn't know that I was being prepared to talk to people, to be talking to people, to doing conversations. When I was opening doors of restaurants, because I did open doors for restaurants, when I would say, good evening, ma'am, welcome to the restaurant. Good evening, sir, welcome to the restaurant. Please follow me. Hindi ko alam that I was being trained to deal with people. I worked in the theater. Ako'y taga-announce ng, ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the Philippine National Anthem. Hindi ko alam that I was being prepared for a talk business. And when I was hosting press conferences for the theater, which I enjoyed immensely, I had no idea I was being prepared for a talk career. So what am I trying to say? Minsan, you don't need to annotate your life. Sometimes, most of the time, not all the time, you have to trust. You have to trust in Him. You have to trust in the moment. You have to trust in the universe. That rhythm is given to you. Ang akin lang, don't waste your time. Seize every day. Do the best you can in each day because each day will lead you to the next day. Halimbawa, mahirap ang pinagdaanan mo, wala kang na ibenta, does not follow that tomorrow you're not going to try again because you know that one point is going to lead you to the next point and to the next point. It's always the next step that matters. When people ask me, what was your best interview? Ginagaya ko lagi is Barbara Walters. I always say, the next one is my best interview.
I love that. I'm really enjoying this conversation right now. And I know, Tito Boy, that you are a very religious man. And since you touched about it okay, sometimes you gotta put faith. But you gotta do the work. You gotta make the most out of your days.
You have to cooperate with, diba?
Yeah. How much in your life do you plan and then you become hungry and then you work really hard and try to make it work? And how much do you surrender to God?
No, but when even I work, I'm surrendered. When I plan, I am surrendered. When I imagine, I am surrendered. So the whole process is really faith driven. I do
Wow.
not have the illusions of being in control in that sense. So even when I am hungry, I am surrendered. And I was hungry literally and figuratively. And in both experiences, I was surrendered. So if the question is how much of me is planned and how much of me is destined or is a product of prayer, all of the above, all the things that I do is guided by faith, is really guided by faith. Sometimes I'm not aware of that. Sometimes I'm aware. I am deliberate. Lord, as I dribble this concept, Lord, as I dribble this talk show concept, give me the presence, give me the words, give me the ideas. Hanggang ngayon, ganun ang proseso ko, Alec.
Napakaganda, Tito Boy. Maraming salamat sa pag-share nun. Okay, one of the few questions that I have left is, if someone is coming up to you and they would ask, what would happiness look like to you today? Because I know it's been changing for the past few years, but for today, what does
Evolves.
happiness look like? Uh-uh.
The first thing that comes to my mind is kalusugan.
Uh-huh.
Malusog lang ang aking pamilya, malusog lang after the death of my mother, I have been gutted. I was not just broken, but I am gutted to this very moment. I mean, as we speak, I don't think I can smile again the way I used to smile when Nanay was alive. But I know that I cannot stop living. Pero tatanggapin ko, I don't know if I'm making sense. Nga, I'm listening now to myself. Pero ang kaligayahan ko kasi dati, matupad lahat ang aking pangarap para sa aking ina. She was my compass. She was my moral, spiritual, intellectual compass. Every time I'd make a decision, my question was, what would Nanay think? What is this for Nanay? What would Nanay think if I were to say this? Bahagi yun ang proseso ko. That was a large part of my decision-making process and my happiness concept. She's gone. She passed on just before COVID started. And I realized that I want to share this with you, Alec. Dati parang hirap na hirap ako sa pain because I'm still in grief. She was my lodestar. She was my anchor. When you lose that, nawawala ka eh. Nayuyugyug ka. And then my friend was saying, boy, you have to do something. You have to be able to manage your grief. You have to be able to manage your pain. Took a while. Took months. And then I told my friend, she's a neurologist. And I said, alam mo, I don't want the pain to go. Ayoko. I don't want to stop grieving. I don't even want to manage it. Why? Because this pain is the only connection I have with my mother. So for as long as that pain is there, Nanay is present. So sige na, hayain na, titiisin ko na. Because that makes her palpable in my life. So I'm okay with the pain. But as I said, I don't want to stop. Today, happiness, for as long as my family is healthy, I'm happy. But can I really celebrate and smile the way Nanay reacted every time, I'd be able to bring her abroad or build her a house or just spend quiet conversations with her? Wala na yun. Bakit ko pinag-uusapan ito? Because I want children out there to realize that, especially those whose parents are still there, enjoy them. Enjoy them. Enjoy them. Enjoy the easy and the difficult moments with them. Hahanapin mo yun. Hahanapin mo yun. Don't lose that.
That was actually my last question. If you have any advice left for the young people who are listening right now. But thank you.
Love.
Thank you so much.
Love your parents. Love your family. Love God. Just love. Just really love. Just really love. Whatever
Yeah.
it is. However it is, how to love. Just do it. Just love.
Thank you so much for that.
And that's what small talk is all about.
Yeah, the smallest conversations. It's in those moments that makes us feel more alive. Thank you so much
Alam
for
mo,
being.
Alec, why it's very attractive. When I was told that I was going to guest on your show, Small Talk, sabi ko nga, and I learned this from a New Age philosopher, that's what you do with God. You have small talks with Him. And sometimes these small talks begin with a whisper. You have to listen intently to understand. And sometimes you have to listen over and over and over again so you get it. Because it's not easy. It's not easy. It's not easy. But
I
it's fulfilling.
Yeah. And I'm privileged enough to have a platform where I could have these conversations with you, where we could listen. The listeners of Small Talk and I as well. I'm learning a lot. Like this has been by far the best platform that I've been using to learn about life. I get to talk to people like you who've already done it, who've already seen the highs and the lows, and we get to learn so much from it. And this is, I mean, with the internet, this is like the best thing that could ever exist, like having the knowledge and the wisdom. And now it's just up to us whether we're going to apply it or not. But the scarcity of the knowledge and wisdom, it's here. We just got to apply it. So thank you so much for giving me
I
this
like what
opportunity.
I like you when you said it has done it. Yes, but who's still playing? Who's still
Yes.
groping with
Yes.
with excitement, with laughter, with glee? Kasi Alex, last na lang. Also, I used to be so afraid about the internet. Used to be so afraid about the unknown.
Mhm.
Well, don't be afraid of spaces and the universes that are not familiar, that are unknown to you, because that is where magic happens. And it is in that uncertain space, it is in that scary, unknown space that God resides.
That's very beautiful. Thank you so much, Tito Boy.
Salamat, Alex. Salamat.
Uh it's been an amazing a moment for me as well, and I can't wait to share this to everyone that I know, especially with my family. But before I let you go, there's a small segment here on Small Talk. It's called Real Talk. It's kind of like Fast Talk, but it's basically the mechanics of it is I'm going to ask you a question, and you're going to answer with either one word, one phrase, or one sentence, no explanation.
Okay.
Okay,
One word,
so
one phrase, and you
or
don't explain.
you don't explain. Okay. But of course, we have some exceptions, but we'll try our best. Okay.
We'll try
So
our
the
best.
first
Okay.
question is, what's the best advice you have ever received?
Don't be afraid.
Love it. Second question, what's the worst advice you have ever received?
Join the amateur singing contest because you're good. I will not
Thank
explain.
no explanation. We would love to hear that explanation. But yeah.
No, no,
Uh,
no, no. I will explain a bit.
okay.
Nanay, when I was young, said, you have to join the amateur singing contest because maganda ang boses mo. Ako naman naniwala ako. Sumali ako, natalo ako.
Oh, that's something we don't hear from Tito Boy every day. But yeah, third question, Tito Boy. If you could tell something that everyone in the world could hear, what would you say?
I'm proudly gay and I'm proudly Catholic and I am okay.
I love that. Thank you. Thank you so much for that, Tito Boy. Napakaganda.
Kasi kailangan the world has to hear
Yeah. Yeah. We were proud of it. Next question. What would you say to your 18-year-old self?
Ganda mo.
Continue being maganda.
Sabi ko sa kanya, ganda mo.
Okay. Fifth question. And I know you answered this already, but I want to hear it again. What legacy do you want to leave in this world?
I just encouraged people, really. Make your nanay proud.
Make your
Your
nanay.
nanay proud. May konting lang, let's make an exception. People say, boy, bakit nanay lang? Bakit hindi tatay? Bakit
Mhm.
hindi ganito? You know why? Because every person in this world is a child of a mother, including tatays, including men. Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing. I didn't see it that way, but thank you. Thank you for opening eyes and opening hearts and opening wisdom or opening our minds to these kind of things about life and about change and
Salamat.
about fame. Maraming salamat, Tito Boy. Pero I cannot let you go dahil a lot of people have requested this. And this is my last question for the real talk. And you might know what it is. Sex or chocolate?
Sex. Are you joking?
Not even a question. Pero thank you. That's it, you guys.
No,
I hope na
zero
meron kayo natutunan. But before we end this,
No,
go ahead,
I'm not
Tito Boy.
joking about the sex. I'm not joking about the sex. My choice is really sex. Chocolate is easy. I can buy that in the supermarket. Sex.
Okay. But yeah,
Salamat,
Tito
Al.
Boy, please promote your social media channels. Where can they find you and your podcast as well?
I have a Facebook fan page. It's Boy Abunda Official. And my YouTube channel. I'm proud of my YouTube channel. It's called the Boy Abunda Talk channel. Please subscribe. And of course, Who Are You When No One Is Watching is my podcast. And you can eavesdrop on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and whatever platform where you listen to your podcasts. And I have a Kumu show every Saturday, which is called The Best Talk. So I'm everywhere. Maraming salamat sa suporta, maraming salamat sa paniniwala, maraming salamat sa pagiging kaibigan. Napakatagal ko na po sa industriyang ito and hindi matatapos ang aking pasasalamat because I am where I am because you've always been there. Thank you.
Ayan. Maraming salamat din sa'yo, Tito Boy.
Alex,
Nandito ka at binigyan mo kami ng time mo to share your wisdom about everything that we talked about. So thank you. And
thank you for the fun. It's so much fun.
I hope you did. But yeah, yes, guys, if you enjoyed this episode, go ahead and share it on Instagram or anywhere on any platform that you're in. And if you share it on Instagram, don't forget to tag me at Small Talk Podcast or at Alec Cuenca. And share us your comments if you enjoyed this. Share us your sentiments. Share us if you disagree with us. I love reading all of your comments. And yeah, share it with your friends, your families, and your loved ones. And make sure that you check out the other amazing episodes that we have here on Small Talk as well. And that's it for this episode. Thank you so much for listening. Sabi nga ni Tito Boy, wala ako dito kung hindi dahil sa inyo. So maraming salamat sa support ang binibigay niyo sa akin and sa show na to. And yeah, my name is Alec Cuenca. This is Small Talk, small conversation with huge impact. And I'll talk to you guys next episode. Bye-bye.
The views and opinions expressed by the podcast creators, hosts, and guests do not necessarily reflect the official policy and position of Podcast Network Asia, the hosts of the program, or other programs of the network. Any content provided by the people on the podcast are of their own opinion and are not intended to malign any religion, ethnic group, club, organization, company, individual, or anyone or anything.